Okay, how about another lesson for this week? Cartoons. Cartooning can be simple or complicated, but we're going to develop our own characters and come up with our own style. Let's see how to get started. How do you get started drawing a cartoon character? There are lots of different ways and lots of different techniques that you can find if you're watching videos through YouTube. But let's try to narrow that down to just a few basic steps to help you get started. In order to get a cartoon character that doesn't look plain and boring, we would like to show some sort of emotion. And the best way to start drawing an emotion is to focus in on the character's eyes. I'm going to try 3 different kinds of emotions, and I'm going to draw the eyes that would go along with those emotions. So let's just start with the basics. Happy, sad, and angry. If you have a mirror handy, then this could help you when you start trying to draw your different emotions, because you can make the face in the mirror and see what you're doing. So if you're going to have a happy, smiley face, then when you think about drawing the eyes, you want to think about them being all bright and open. When I first learned how to do cartooning, I was taught to draw both of the eyes connected, but that's not necessarily always something that you have to do. So if you want to draw your eyes individually, that's fine. Usually cartooning is more an exaggeration of the features, an exaggeration of what the character is doing. So when you take the face and you kind of squish it all together, it exaggerates the emotions even more. So this is a happy person, right? If I were to take a little bit of extra detailing here and start adding some eyes, eyebrows, a nose. We don't have to get too technical with the nose unless we have the nose being some kind of specific part of your story. And of course the basic old smiley face. We have a happy character. In contrast to that, a sad character. Anything sad usually implies drooping or hanging down, or, you know, when you're sad you tend to put your head down a little bit. So if I were to take that same eye shape and just elongate them at the bottom, and then move the pupils down to the very bottom, this looking down motion makes the character look a little sad. If I also add eyebrows, maybe a droopy nose, and our frowny face, then you have something that looks sad. You could also go in here and add eyebrows and eyelids to make it look like the character's looking down. Now how about angry? If you've never watched Bugs Bunny cartoons, you may not have seen the Tasmanian Devil, but he is a perfect example of a character who is angry. When you think about angry eyes, we usually think about angry eyebrows. There used to be a kids show called The Veggie Tales that my kids watched all the time, and there was a story about the angry eyebrows, and when these angry eyebrows, they look like birds. When they would fly in and hit somebody on the face, then they would become kind of a jerk. So the angry eyebrows, and the pupils kind of tucked up underneath those eyebrows, because somebody who's angry is going to be looking at you very intensely. Sometimes an angry character has those 2 little wrinkles going on right there in the middle of the forehead, and an angry nose. I don't know how an angry check mark can look like an angry nose, but then an angry mouth. So here we have an angry character. There are many ways to express different kinds of emotions, but these are just some of the basics to start with. Let's try to take these characters and move them into a different style of face. To take the head of a cartoon character can be just as simple as drawing a big letter U. If you put that happy face inside this head, you have the beginnings of a character. But what about the hair? Well, the best way I can tell you to draw hair is to draw just the part of the face, just the part of the hair that touches your forehead right at your face. So let's say this person has like long hair. We're going to tuck that hair right behind the ear. And then let's say the hair is very long. So let's draw the part that touches the forehead, and then the part that gives you as big as the hair would be. So like the outline of the face. Not necessarily where the skull would be, Because if I'm thinking about this character as having, you know, the rest of his skull or her skull, that wouldn't be where the hair would be. The hair would sometimes be above that. So let's say this person has very long hair. So that's just one side of a character with very long hair. What if their hair is curly? Well, that's easy enough to do, right? And short. And I always like to add 2 little flicks of hair just in the part to make it look like hair and not necessarily a helmet. Let's come back over here and add another one just to see what other kind of features we can have. What if your character does not have any hair? You could add lines and dots to make it look like they have just a few little pieces. And maybe they shave their head, so that's why they have the little dots. Adding eyebrows is always a good touch. People tend to look strange without eyebrows. And then if you want to add a neck here just to start your basic face, that would be fine. How do you get a face that isn't necessarily this potato or egg shape? Well, you know, you can exaggerate that as well. Anytime you have a character, you can change the shapes of their heads. Think Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb definitely do not have traditional shaped heads. And you can exaggerate things like smiles. And you can exaggerate things like eyelashes or eyebrows. Let's say you want to make this a female character. What if we give her some big lipstick area? Maybe a little decorative earring. Exaggeration works really good for cartooning. What if I want to make this a male character? Well, how about we make it a little more angular? Let's give him a mohawk. This can be my angry character. He's angry, he has a terrible haircut. Maybe he needs a shave too. Maybe his mustache has jumped off and is falling away. Do you see how you can easily just add elements to this to make it interesting? Let's give him a collar. One of those spiky dog collar things. How about a necklace for this lady? What if I want to add a hat to my character instead of adding hair? When you think about adding a hat, think about a staple. You know, you've taken a staple out of a piece of paper and you're left with this folded up piece. This is actually the inside of a hat. When you're looking at a hat, if you're looking at a hat, this inside part of the hat, this is where your head is going to go. And this is technically a round shape. But when you turn that on its side, it changes into an ellipse, an oval shape. That's what you want to do for the hat. If you're going to put a hat on the character, he won't need hair, but you want to sit his head up inside this staple. That's the ellipse of the center of my hat. So to do that, I'm going to start at the side of his head. I'm going to come across the front, and then I'm going to come back to the side again. And this is going to give me that ellipse look. I'm going to extend the head up into there. Give him his ears. What kind of hat is it going to be? Well, if you want to draw the cowboy hat, like we have right here, then we're going to need 2 ellipses, one a little longer than the other. That's the brim of the hat. And then you can add the piece on the top. Maybe he's a park ranger. Or a baseball hat. What if we add a baseball hat? The easiest way to draw a baseball hat is to cheat and draw it backwards. Because that part is easier to draw than to try and draw the foreshortening that's involved when you do the brim of a hat. We'll talk about that in just a second. This is the little button on top of the hat. Make sure that your line for your hat goes to extend past this hole where your head is going to go. Otherwise your hat's too small. The hole can't be larger than the hat. And then we'll just stick that brim out the back of his head. Let's give this a try and try to develop some characters of your own. We are eventually going to need one entire character that we're going to draw from head to toe and color in.